Welcome to Chess School with FIDE Master John Curtis, and today I'm going to look at the game between the Mexican GrandMaster Carlos Torre REPETTO and one infamous character whom we don't know is real at all but could be. But many people today are of the belief that this game was a fabrication. But if it's a fabrication, well, you can decide for yourself. But if it's a fabrication, then it's a very good one. And one or two people actually consider that the GrandMaster Carlos Torre REPETTO, who was awarded the GrandMaster title, the first one from Mexico. They believe that he might have had a student, Edwin Zeigler Adams, and he might have had a student, and the game may have been analysis from a particular position and as to how the game could have went near the end. A lot of people are not of the belief that our friend Adams actually played this game, because it's not as if he's got any chess history of any note in any tournaments. Okay, and I'm going to elaborate on that later. I'm going to talk about a killer. That's right, the killer, Eddie Adams. That's right. So hang on to your hat. And I'm going to show you two games between Carlos Torre REPETTO, the GM, and Edwin Zeigler Adams. Now, has been stated on chessgamers.com by one player that there was a letter to Chess Life and Review from the Edwin Zeigler Adams. And this adds more confusion to the story, but it also adds a little bit of verification of the identity. However, it's all very suspicious, to say the least. Normally, if a player plays a game of this caliber and creates this masterpiece, then you would be at least master standard and have a great grasp of chess and have a history of your games, and maybe playing in a few state championships, local state championships, or something of that nature. Anyway, we're going to get into the game. You can see here it says New Orleans 1920 that the game was played. On chessgames.com it might say 1921. And in this book, World's Greatest Chess Games, it says the game was played in 1925. So we've got a bit of confusion as to when this game was actually played. They do all agree that it was New Orleans. And there were two other Adams too. There was an Edward Adams that actually came fourth in the US Championship or something like that. Anyway, he came fourth 3 times, and that's listed all on chessgames.com. I put on my investigator hat, and I thought maybe I can find out more about this as to whether it was an actual conspiracy. But being a conspiracy theorist myself, however, we're going to look at the game. Right, so Adams, the Edwin Zeigler Adams, is playing the white pieces. He opens with e4, e5 by the GrandMaster, knight f6, f3, attacking the e-pawn. d6 is played, and it's a passive move from a GrandMaster. d4, but at that time in 1920, it's possible you could play a move like that. E takes d4. Queen takes d4, and he's playing super aggressive by bringing his queen out reasonably early. It is theory, queen takes d4, but it seems to be a little bit aggressive. You'd be thinking that if you're playing a guy from Mexico and he's really GrandMaster strength, or I don't know whether he got the Grandmaster title at that stage in his life. He was only about 26 then, I think, Carlos Torre REPETTO. However, you think that the player Edwin Zeigler Adams would be a little bit more passive, so to speak. Oh, one other thing too. There are 2 games played by Edwin Zeigler Adams, and the openings are similar. So that's the openings are similar themes, and Edwin Zeigler Adams is playing with the black pieces and with the white pieces, and there are no other games to be shown. So again, this adds to the weight of circumstantial evidence that there may be a bit of a shonk going on to create a beautiful game, maybe with the help of Carlos Torre REPETTO. But we can't say for sure because we just don't know. Knight c6 is played. Bishop b5 is played, pinning the knight to the queen. Bishop d7 is played, unpinning it. Bishop takes c6. This is all theory. Bishop takes c6. Knight to c3, and he develops a piece. Now, later in this game, I'm going to ask you guys out there, and I'm going to give you some time to work out what moves were played in certain positions. After all, this is John and Grandmaster Teddy's chess school, okay, right? But it's advanced. It's advanced chess school. Let me warn you, this is an advanced chess school. It's an advanced chess school lesson, okay? Ready? Is that right, Teddy? Is it advanced? I couldn't work it out, Johnny. Oh, you're telling me, you're kidding me, Teddy. He's a Grandmaster. Grandmaster Teddy, highest rated player in the world. Okay, rightio. Knight f6 is played, develops a piece. White simply castles, completes the development. Bishop e7 is played. Now, let me tell you, black's got a very passive position. It doesn't ring right. There's something a bit suspicious about how white's playing this beautiful dominant game and black is got a fairly passive position. It just smells a little bit. There's got a bit of smell about it, so it could be a fabrication. It's a knight d5. Now, this is a beginner move. This is a beginner move and does nothing. Bishop takes d5. Right, bishop takes d5. I think knight takes d5 might have been a move that would have been played by the GM. Knight takes b5 and followed by pawn takes and bishop d7, right? So I would have taken with the knight. I suppose he's worried about the g-pawn going, but it still doesn't. Bishop takes d5. E takes d5 anyway. And now, right, it looks like beginner chess to me. Castles. That's a logical move. Bishop to g5. Well, that looks normal. c6 is played. And that looks like a normal move to challenge the pawn structure. But why? Let's have a look. C6. c4 is played by white. Now, if black was a top player, he could play knight takes pawn. Right. So c takes d5 is played. This is why, in this situation, Carlos REPETTO Torre could play like this. He could play knight takes pawn. And then if pawn takes knight, well, you could just take the bishop, right? And if bishop takes bishop, the knight can take back, okay? Right, so c4, c takes d5. C takes d5, and this is why I'm thinking this game is a bit of a setup. Rook e8's played. Rook f file to e1. Looks like a game that student and coach. You a coach, Teddy? and coach could be playing out. A5 is played. It's not a bad idea. It sort of restricts these pawns. I can understand that as a move to be played, but not a great move. Rook E2 is played. This is just building up the position on the E pawn. Rook C8 is played. This doesn't do anything, right? It occupies the semi-open file. Rook on A file to E1 is played, putting pressure on the bishop. Putting pressure on the bishop on E7. Queen D7 is played. And now, bishop takes F6. Okay. Okay, so bishop recaptures F6. And now I want you to find the best move for white. I'll give you a little while to think about it because this is very difficult. Grandmaster Teddy, have you seen it yet?
Well, I saw it straight away, Johnny.
Grandmaster Teddy says he saw the move straight away. Anyway, it's white to play. Now, what move would you play in this position? Take your time. As I said, this is for advanced players too. This is why we're very suspicious of Mr. Edwin Zeigler Adams. Okay, but there are 2 games to show you, and the next game will add a bit of weight to why we think this is very suspicious. Okay, well, Queen G4 was played by the mighty Adams, the mysterious Adams, right? Queen to G4. Now, if you take the queen, if you capture the queen, rook takes rook check will be checkmate in 2 moves. Straight out of the chess.com puzzles book. Right? Now, black chooses queen to B5. Okay, black chooses queen to B5. And now it's white to move in this position. White to move in this position. And let's have a look. What does white do? Well, A4 looks like a great move. I thought the move might be A4. Attacking the queen. But if you attack the queen with the pawn, this pawn can attack this queen. And there's no back rank checkmates. Okay? Oh, actually, you can't do that because, yeah, you can't do that. So queen G4, queen to B5. He actually played queen to, this is why I think it's a study. He plays this move, queen C4. Look at that. He says, you can take my queen 2 different ways. You can capture my queen here with the queen, but rook takes rook check will be checkmate, right? Okay, so what do you do in that position? Okay. Right, well, what if you take the rook here with this rook? No, it's rook takes rook, checkmate again. Okay. Right. Okay, so what move does he play? Well, he plays queen to D7, he retreats. Well, this is a logical move, isn't it? Because you're retreating your queen and you're protecting your castle. So now there's no checkmate there. There's no checkmate there. Okay, no checkmate. Well, queen C7 is played. Did you see this move? Right? If you haven't seen it, I'll give you a chance to find it. Queen C7, he's attacking the queen. Isn't this totally ridiculous? Right? Now, but it's a great move from a chess player's point of view. Because if you take the queen, it's checkmate on the back rank. Doesn't matter if you take the queen with the castle or the queen, it's checkmate on the back rank. Okay, with the same theme that was applied after queen to G4. So what move does black play here? Well, queen here is the only move. Okay, so what move does white play in this position? Well, he played a4. He's attacking the queen again. Now, again, in this position, you can't take the castle on e2 and get two castles with checkmate. You can't do that, right? Okay. Well, we played a4. Now, why can't he play queen takes rook? Let's just check this out now. Queen g4, queen to b4, queen c4, queen d7, queen c7, hitting the queen b5, now a4. Well, why can't you play queen takes rook? Well, the rook just takes back. Okay, I'll show you. If the queen takes the rook just takes back. And now you can't take this queen because it's checkmate in the back rank. Can you see that? Okay, so we'll go back. Queen b5. a4 is played. And now queen to a4, he takes that off. Oh, let's go back. Bishop f6. I'll go e takes d5. Castle. Bishop g5, c6, c4. C takes d5. C takes d5. Rook e8. Rook f5 to e1. a5. Rook e2 gives white time to build up and double the rooks. Rook c8 is played. Rook a5 to e1. Now all the white rooks are in position. Queen to d7. Bishop takes f6. Bishop takes f6. Now queen g4, this master move. Queen b5 running away, holding everything. Queen c4 saying, hey, you're in trouble. Queen goes to d7 and defends. Queen c7 hits the queen. Back to queen to b5. White plays a4. And now in this position, black captures queen takes a4. And now I'm going to give you a chance to find the knockout move. The move, what does white play here? What move does white play here? What move does white play in this position? Take your time. Teddy's looking. He's looking. I think he might find it. Shh, don't tell them, Teddy. Don't tell them what the move is. Well, it's rook e4. Look at this move. This move threatens rook takes queen. Look at that, eh? Now, if you take the rook, right? If you take the rook, this rook can just take back, right? And you can't take it off because the back rank checkmate again. So black chooses queen b5. He says, oh, I'll just move back again. I'll be all right. But then white plays this move. Queen takes pawn. Ah! And it's in this position that black resigned, according to the engine. And the reason being is this time the queen can't defend all the squares against the checkmate here, right? You can't take the queen because if you take the queen, it's just simply rook takes rook, check, rook takes rook, and rook takes checkmate. Okay, so queen a4, rook e4, queen b5, queen takes pawn, and now you're running out of squares. You can't play queen there because of rook takes queen. Okay, so queen takes b7. Oh, so queen takes b7. And now that's the end of the game. Okay, so that was all right. So now we've established that it does look like it could have been a created game by the GrandMaster. Could have been, but we don't know for sure. But we're going to say it's highly suspect. Highly suspect, Teddy. But we've got more to show you. We haven't told you about the murderer, the murderer and the shootout, the big shootout yet. But we're going to look at game 2 now. This time, Edward Adams is black. And you might notice that in this game, you'll see the same sort of opening, except this time, Carlos Torre REPETTO, the GrandMaster, is white. E6, D4, D5, Knight C3, Knight F6, Bishop G5, it's the same type of position, D takes E4, Knight takes E4, Bishop E7, same theme, Bishop takes F6, Bishop takes F6, Knight F3, just developing the pieces, C6, C3, Queen C7, doesn't do much at all, this move, Queen C7. It's a beginner's move, right? It's a beginner's move. Bishop D3, Knight to D7, developing the pieces. This is a good move. It's a good move. Queen to E2. This is a great move. I've had this position myself many times. B6 is played. G4. So the GrandMaster now wants to push his pawn to G5 and make the bishop retreat. C5 is played by black. It's very ambitious. He should be looking at developing his pieces. I think black was fine until he played this move. D takes C5. Knight takes C5. And now white plays Knight takes C5. The Queen takes C5. And now G5. He offers the guy a pawn. He says, right, take that pawn off. And is there any reason why he can't take the pawn? Well, he can, but he sees this move. I can't see why he shouldn't take this pawn here. He probably doesn't like the check. But bishop takes pawn looks okay. But he plays bishop takes C3. Now this is, again, looks like another setup, right? So that white looks brilliant. B takes C3. Queen takes C3. Queen to D2. And now, when we look at the position, black here is a piece down. But he can take the rook with check, okay? And the king goes to E2. Right? Queen to H1, because there's no squares to retreat to here. So it's Queen H1. Bishop checks. Now you've got to answer the check. Now black played Bishop D7. Right? He played Bishop D7. But what if he played king here? Well, if he played king there, Queen checks, and you can't go here. You can't go here. You can't go there, and you can't go there or there. You've only got one square, and that's this one. The final king to D8, that would be the only move, and then queen checks. No squares, bishop here, and checkmate. So what actually happened? He gave a check, he put the bishop in, he thought, well, right, I'll give you the bishop back, but I'm going to win this. Queen takes D7 check, the king goes to F8, and now the winning move. Can you see the winning move here? Now remember, the black queen's out of play. What move would you play to win this game? There you go. Give him a chance to find it, Teddy. Well, if you said G6, threatening checkmate, you were right. Okay, now it doesn't matter which way you take the pawn. You can't stop the checkmate there on F7, so you must capture the pawn. Black captures the pawn, and now Knight G5, and now you can't stop checkmate here without losing the queen. There's no move available to stop that checkmate without the heavy loss of material. Doesn't matter how hard you look, you won't find a good defense. So that's the story of Edwin Zeigler Adams and Carlos Torre REPETTO. But around about the same time, it says played New Orleans in 1920, but we're going to take you to Wikipedia because as an investigator, I was investigating Mr. Eddie Adams. I came up with this guy, Edwin J. Adams. And the article has many issues, but it's in Wikipedia. There's Eddie Adams, but it's not the same Eddie Adams, but I thought it was interesting. So I thought that I'd share this with you. Okay, this Edward James Adams, or Edward James Adams, not Eddie Zeigler Adams. This Edward James Adams was born in April 23, 1887. The other Edward Zeigler was 1885, wasn't he? November 22 to 1921, he was a notorious American criminal and a spree killer in the American Midwest. He murdered 7 people. Teddy, don't get scared, Teddy. I think Teddy's shaking. No, don't get scared, Teddy. It's all right. He's gone now. He murdered 7 people, including 3 policemen, over a period of 14 months. And he wounded at least a dozen other people. At the age of 34, could we say the tender age of 34, Adams was surrounded and then killed by police in Wichita, Kansas. He was actually born in 1887 on a farm in Hutchinson, Kansas, as William Joseph Wallace. But he changed his name to Eddie Adams. I wonder if he survived and changed his name to Edwin Zeigler Adams and then started playing chess. I don't think so. He became involved in bootlegging, petty robberies and car theft. This guy's got nothing to do with it, but it's an interesting story, isn't it? And he was a handsome and charismatic character, and he attracted many women and the hangers-on. His wife left him after growing weary of his illegal activities and infidelities. Sounds like you, Teddy.
Don't talk like that about me, Johnny. I'm a teddy bear.
Okay, right. Sorry about that, Ted. My apologies. Okay, but there you go. So if you want to read up on this Adams, you can. But we move further down. Here comes the downfall of Mr. Adams. On the evening of November 20, 1921, Adams, along with Foster, Nellie Miles, a local madam and woman of the night and a long-time friend of Adams, Georgie J. McFarland, a local thug and bootlegger, and 2 alleged prostitutes. This is the wholesome channel, Teddy. They were enjoying joyriding around Wichita. Another car carrying Fintelman, his wife, Weisberger, P.D. Orcutt, and 2 unnamed ladies of the night followed at high speeds. 2 motorcycle policemen pulled over the vehicle carrying Mr. Adams, and a gunshot came from the vehicle. Whether the shot was fired by Adams or Foster is unknown, but it killed a patrolman, Robert Fitzpatrick, and the outlaws sped away, released the women and fled south into Cowley County. As you can see from this little photo here, it says a reenactment of Adams' fatal shootout with the police as published in the Wichita Eagle, November 23, 1921. Anyway, they ran out of gas. This is the story. Later on, they ran out of gas, stopped at a farm where Adams attempted to steal a vehicle from poor old farmer George Oldham. And when Oldham resisted, Adams shot and killed him. Poor bloke. Adams and Foster took the car while McFarland ran away alone into the night. The duo returned to Wichita in the stolen car. Now, that might have been their big mistake. The next day, Adams and Billy Fintelman went to McFarland's house to look after him, only to find 2 police officers waiting. Adams shot one and he wounded the other officer, Ray Kasner, while the other policeman hid under the bed. Adams escaped. Of course he would if your policeman's hiding under the bed, but you'd probably hide under the bed too. Teddy would. Adams hid out until the funeral of the fallen officer Fitzpatrick on November 22, at which he assumed the bulk of the police force would be present. He had planned to rent a car to leave town for good, but the proprietor of the garage recognised him and contacted the police. So he should never have returned to Wichita, should he? 3 officers arrived on the scene. They always say the criminal returns to the scene of the crime. Adams shot at them, fatally wounding Detective Charles Hoffman, who had pulled Adams to the ground. Officer Charles Bowman was also hit by gunfire. D.C. Stuckey, hiding behind a pillar, shot Adams 3 times and fatally killed him. Well, I suppose if he killed him, it's fatal. Eddie Adams' body was publicly displayed in the city undertaking parlour just to prove he was dead in a grisly celebration on the eve of the Reign of Terror. On the end of the Reign of Terror, more than 9,000 people viewed the slain outlaw's body. So we now know that it wasn't Mr. Zeigler Adams, was it? Because we got 9,000 witnesses that he was actually really dead. 4 were sent to the Kansas State Penitentiary, including Frank Foster, who was sentenced to remain there for life. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little stream. It was very exciting. And if your name is Edwin Adams, please don't feel offended. Please don't feel offended if your name is Edwin or Edwin Adams, because there was a few of them running around at the time. Remember, there was the Edwin Adams that played in the championships. He came 4th so many years in a row. And so there we go. And with that, we're going to, I was going to show you one more game. I was going to put a game in there of mine. I think we've covered it. I think we've had a bit of fun, haven't we, Teddy?
I'm still scared, Johnny. I'm still scared.
No, don't worry. Don't be scared. It's all right. It's just what happened in the violent 1920s and 1930s. It was a wild time, Teddy. A wild time. It's getting wild now, isn't it? Okay, so with that, we're going to end our stream. Thumbs up if you like the video. And if you want more content, you'll get notification if you like and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to make a donation, well, the link to my PayPal account is in the video description. Okay, it's bye for now. It's bye from me. Bye from GrandMaster Teddy, and God bless you all. God bless your families, and look after yourselves and your families, because family is the most important thing in the world. I know that. Okay, see you later. Bye now.